All right, everyone. So welcome and thank you for your patience. And so here we go. So this is networking and informational interview workshop, and we've already been networking with you over the last 10 minutes. That's what networking is. It is just sharing information, and so I'm just going to kind of go through this, and we're a small enough group, so if any of you have any questions, or Tweet will be looking into the chat if there are any important questions. So I'll just get going. So we'll just kind of keep going. What comes to mind when you hear the word networking? So I'm guessing we've seen it all, like nervous and how do I do that, and all those things. That's pretty common for students, especially if this is all new to you. So what we're here to tell you is you actually are networking every day, but you probably don't even realize it. And you really are. You're networking with everything you do, not just in class, but with everybody you encounter. It's really as simple as that. And this is kind of what it looks like. We look at like the bigger picture here. You are networking with so many people throughout your day, and it's school and family and friends and coworkers. If you're working, you have a job, if you belong to a student club, any of these things. So this is your whole network. This is everybody you're connecting with and growing your network, as well. So how do you make connections? All right, so many ways. So the first obvious one that I always think of is your classmates. So when you come to classes, whether it's on Zoom or in person, you are connecting with your classmates, but it's also faculty, staff, anything going on campus. With us, with the Career Center, we have all these events going on during the year. We're close to wrapping up our career fairs. We have actually a couple more events coming up that we can share with you in April. But we have information sessions as well. So we have a lot going on all the time. Alumni connections. So something I think students don't think about is you have an opportunity to connect with graduates, with alumni on LinkedIn, through events going on campus, whether they're guest speaker events or panel events. And ideally you have the opportunity to connect with alumni that also have your major, graduated in your field, and they're working. And these are individuals who could be very helpful in terms of helping you find internships and jobs. Student orgs and clubs, we really recommend that students join at least one student club that's related to your major. And I think most majors have a club of some kind, but this is like one of the best ways to get started networking, get comfortable with connecting with other students like yourself in this field. And these are students that are not your classmates. They're at different points in their education. Making new connections, obviously anything that goes on here on campus, whether it's in person or virtual. And there's no shortage of events going on here. And then of course, social media. So we focus on LinkedIn here in the Career Center because it is a professional networking platform, but we also have SJSU Squared, which is an opportunity for you to connect with graduates who are open to mentoring students. Facebook, Instagram, all the blogs, no shortage of ways of making new connections. So to sort of give you some ways to think about how to go about doing this is, identify your goal, and you may have more than one in mind. It might be for information about a company or a job, or just advice on how to network. Pick an event to attend. Again, no shortage of events going on campus, in person or virtually. Doing your homework, I think, just means researching the event. Go online, but we post so many things on Handshake, but not everything is on Handshake. There are a lot of events going on that you can, do some research and learn a little bit about what's going on at this event and what you could learn as a result of attending. Having a positive attitude is everything. So that's really key, is going to an event and learning and meeting people and just, have a good time. Enjoy the experience, and then dress for the occasion. I think it depends on what the occasion is. If it's a career fair or a special event, then maybe you dress professionally for it somewhat, but so many events really that go on here on campus, that's really not necessary. So I think it just depends on what the theme is, what's going on. So it's something we just recommend because we're helping you with finding internships and jobs. And if you're going to an interview, you have to dress a little nicer for those, opportunities. So these are just some examples of dress. And it is, I sort of call it like a notch or two above what you would be wearing to school. A little more professional. We really kind of look at dress like this, especially for interviewing, whether you're doing it online or in person. You may not have to dress like this for a job, but dressing up really makes a really strong first impression, and that's what you want to keep in mind. Then for the interviewing, so if you look at both sides of the screen here, these are just sort of ways to approach either an interview or a networking event, whether it's virtual or in person. So virtual, as you can see, you're looking at a screen, you're going to be looking at a number of people. And I think most of us have been doing a lot of this, definitely these last few years. And looking at everybody on camera. It still is a little awkward, but we've been making it work pretty well, I think. And then of course, in person is one-on-one, or you're attending an event with a number of people, and it's all about looking nice, smiling, being friendly. That's what you want to just keep in mind. Know your audience. So we define this in a couple ways. So we look at something called professional small talk. As opposed to or your professional pitch. There is a difference. So the small talk is, I think, what most of us do every day. It's just where we have conversations with people. Usually it's very informal with our peers and our colleagues, and it's not always career focused. So not everything is professional or is about a job or an internship. It's just about, well, lately, I think for most of us, it's been the weather. I think that's been where most of the conversations have been, to give you an example of that. So that's professional small talk. And then professional pitch is going to be more a formal setting, mostly definitely career focused. And you are maybe talking to an employer or a recruiter about possible internships and jobs. So there is a more of an intentional aspect to this, because you're interested in learning more about opportunities and you're meeting the individuals who can help you with that. So with professional small talk, these are the things we just recommend that you do, which is, introduce yourself and share just conversation as it works out based on the environment you're in. Asking open-ended questions is like, how are you making out through the weather right now? Or how nice to have this beautiful sunshine today. Things like that. How are your classes going? Those kind of questions. And we sort of recommend to keep it on the casual side, and avoid politics, religion, and other controversies. So there's so many other things to talk about that can engage, people in conversation. And it's going to be more fun, as well. And that's what you want. So here's an example of sort of small talk, So here's an example. You might say, hi, I saw you at this keynote session this morning. I'm so-and-so, and this is my major. And then the person you're talking to says, hi, really nice to meet you. I'm with this particular company. In this case, it's somebody who works for Nike. What did you think about the keynote? And then you could say, I really enjoyed the keynote speaker, especially this particular information. And I like this part, the student saying, it reminded me of a recent project I did on a social media campaign. And then you can say back to that person, so what impressed you about the keynote? And that's how you're engaging in this conversation. So what I'm highlighting here are some of the things that stand out. Keep in mind as you have this kind of conversation. All right. Your name, your major, and a little bit about the event or whatever it is you are attending, and ways to kind of think about how to engage in that kind of conversation. With the professional pitch, it's a little bit different, a little more formal. So what you're trying to do here is, so I don't know if any of you attended our career fairs recently. There was a lot of professional pitches going on. And so probably most of the students went up to a table and talked to a recruiter with a company. And the recruiter probably said, so tell me about yourself. And the student said, okay, I'm majoring in this. Maybe interests was part of the conversation, but mostly it's probably going to be, I'm a student at San Jose State studying this. I'm interested in your internship or job. You might say something about, I have some experience. I've done a couple semester projects in this area, and I think I really have some good skills for this. And then maybe hopefully you've done some research a little bit on the company, and maybe you're saying, I think my background, and I'm in a student organization, and I think my leadership skills would be valuable as well. And you want to keep this, as it says, keep in mind, keep your pitch short, and 60 seconds is actually quite a while. You can probably even do this in 30 seconds. It doesn't take very long, but you're just sort of hitting on the highlights of who you are. And then the person you're talking to is going to respond and tell you about their position. So here's an example. I recently graduated from college. During school, I also worked for the college newspaper. I'm looking for a job that will use my writing skills. So we can improve upon this in this way with more detail. I recently graduated from SJSU with a degree in communications. I worked on the college newspaper as a reporter, and eventually as the editor of the arts section. I'm looking for a job that will put my skills as a journalist to work. So this is great because now I know your major, what exactly you did as a writer, what kind of work you did. And it shows some advancement that you were a writer, a reporter, and then you became an editor, which is great. And then you're trying to be a little more specific. I would really like to use these skills for this opportunity. So again, I'm highlighting the areas that you want to keep in mind as you give a professional pitch to an employer or for an opportunity. So Handshake is our go-to for all events, everything we have going on. It is a number of things. Online database for job and internships, which I know most students probably focus on Handshake for and use it. It is for students, and it is the main hub for career and employer events. So if you look at Handshake, and probably should look at it almost every day, you're going to find all kinds of things going on. So events that we are hosting, like our career fairs, or webinars like this networking one. You'll see other workshops coming up over the next month or so. And then just other events, including employer engagement events, employer information events. So we have a lot going on, and I, just absolutely recommend that you check Handshake on a regular basis and see, and for some things to add to your calendar that will help you learn about opportunities, but also give you opportunities to network. And that's what this event is about. So the next thing I'm going to go into is a little bit about an informational interview. So what I want to show you here is it is a type of networking, but an informational interview is more of a one-on-one networking opportunity as opposed to with a group or any number of people. And to go down this list here, what you're trying to do when you're talking to someone, and again, it's generally another professional. It just kind of depends, but you're seeking information and advice, not a job. That's really important. You're interested or curious about a opportunity, a company or position that you're interested in applying for. You're hoping to gain some really valuable information or resources that you might not get otherwise. As far as your attitude, you want to make sure that you're polite, friendly, and professional in this process. It's good that you do a little research ahead of time if that's possible. So again, before you go to any of these events, learn about the company or about the speaker. And that helps you be more confident as you talk to that person. And then staying connected on LinkedIn. So this is one of the reasons we really encourage students to create a LinkedIn profile at some point in your education. And I think typically we recommend it as you start to actively look for internships and jobs, because we know so many employers use LinkedIn, and it is a key networking tool. Oops. Oh yeah, okay, I covered that. All right. So when you're doing this, setting up an informational interview, do your research ahead of time. Once you've set up an interview with someone, learn about that person on LinkedIn, or however, maybe you've met this person already on campus or through a student organization. Meeting in person is great if you can do that, but I think we're in a world now where either way is fine. If you want to, if it's going to be easier for you to just set something up on Zoom, great. Try to buy coffee or lunch. Sometimes that helps. Sometimes that works out for you depending on your day and the opportunity. So again, you can meet. Again, we have the option of meeting virtually or in person, whatever is convenient for both parties. Couple things to keep in mind as you're wrapping up your discussion. See if you can find out if there's anybody else you should talk to. If you're interested in a certain job or a company, hopefully the person you're talking to might actually know somebody they can refer you to, because now they're comfortable with meeting you, and they may say, yeah, I know a couple people you could reach out to, and you can tell them I recommended you, or that person will give you their contact information as well. Writing or sending a thank you note is a great idea. Just a short email saying, thank you for meeting with me. I appreciate your information about this position or your company. I hope it's okay if I check in if I have any other questions, and that's probably the keep in touch point here. So the idea is it's not just a meeting and that's it, but you have an opportunity to follow up as well, which can lead to an opportunity, for sure. So if I give you a choice of questions here, here's a little, this is for the chat. which question or questions should you not ask during an informational interview? What do you think? So, can you give your boss my resume? Look at A, B, C, or D. What does a typical day in your role look like? Would you be willing to provide me a referral? What do you enjoy the least about your job? So in the chat, let me find out what question or questions do you think you would not be asking? And you just put your answers in the chat. Mm-hmm.
A lot of A, D, A, D, A, C, and A. Yeah.
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Yep. So the A, definitely. A, definitely. I guess I guess it depends who you talk to, but I think depending on the conversation, I guess that may come up, or that person may offer to give their boss your resume. So it could happen, but normally you would not ask. B is really the question you do want to ask, is like, tell me about what it's like to work at your company. What does a typical day in your position look like? As far as C, I think you pretty much have to know that person pretty well. So if this is somebody you're doing an interview with and you know them and you used to work with them, or that is a possibility, but I think anyone who is asked to be a reference would like to have worked with you and know you pretty well to do that. And I think D is one of those questions that you could ask if you feel comfortable again talking to the person. I think if it's an employer or a recruiter, I would probably not ask that question. I think if you interview somebody who works there, that might be a little different and maybe a good question to ask. But I think it depends on how your conversation's going. So, so we're just kind of talking about this because I think this is just for your own information, really helpful. What you want to do is, in this interview, these are some really good questions to ask the person you're talking to. How did you find your current job? What is it like to work at your company? I like this. What areas do you see growing in this profession? So I like that because you're thinking about advancement. You're thinking about maybe taking on a role, but want to know what the future opportunities might look like. Do you have any advice for me if I want to apply for this company or role? I think that's really a great question. And like we already mentioned before, is there anyone else you recommend I speak to? So you can put together a really nice informational interview and make it very valuable for both of you. And this is, and it just takes practice. So we encourage you to engage in these going forward. Then the aftermath of this interview, really important, is definitely make notes about that conversation so you don't forget. Maybe as soon as your meeting is over with, just jot down some things because it's easy to lose that information very quickly. Again, follow up with a thank you note in appreciation of that person's time. If someone made a suggestion to you, whether they said, you can contact these people, or this is check our website or something else. I think this is a great opportunity to take advantage of that information and follow up and let that person know that you did that. Keep a system, set up a system to keep track of follow-up activities. So whether it's a spreadsheet or whatever works for you, track everything that you're doing, because again, you are talking to people who may be working at a company or hiring, and you want to stay connected. If that position or that opportunity is either coming up soon or down the road, it might be a few months. So this is a really important thing to do, is staying on track, keeping track. And then maintaining contact by reaching out once a semester to grow the relationship. So again, I think this is, again, LinkedIn primarily would be, check in with that individual from time to time. It kind of depends again on what that conversation was about, but it's good to just stay in contact. And by reaching out, you never know if an opportunity may all of a sudden show up that wasn't available before. So by doing that, somebody may say, since we talked, our company's hiring, or I know somebody else you can talk to that I didn't think about at that time. So this kind of ongoing communication is really helpful, and it's going to make you, successful. So with that, the next steps we have and the resources we have are, I mentioned SJSU Squared is a San Jose State alumni. It's a mentoring platform where we have a number of alumni that we have reached out to over the last few years who are willing to connect with current students and offer advice about on careers and working for their company or in that industry. LinkedIn, of course, is well worth your time to create a profile, build a network, and look for opportunities there. Handshake is really our go-to again. So if you're not actively using Handshake, I really urge you to do that, to look for all kinds of events to attend. And these are all, everything really is a networking opportunity for you. So take advantage of that. We have a job and internship search guide where we give you additional tips on networking and how to create a professional pitch and how to get comfortable doing that. And then, of course, you can make appointments with me or Twee or any of the other counselors here in the Career Center by Spartan Connect. And our appointments are 30 minutes. So that gives you plenty of time to talk with one of us about networking or about your resume or LinkedIn or anything else that we can assist you with that will help you, be successful. So for those of you who haven't been to the Career Center, we are on the second floor of the administration building. We face San Fernando. We're actually across from a restaurant called Peanuts. Some of you may know that. That's where I usually tell people. And we are open Monday through Friday. We would love to see you. It's great to see more and more students coming in to meet with us. And so you can connect with us anyway. And then what I want to wrap up is we do have a survey that hopefully you'll take a couple minutes to take. It's pretty brief, and make your comments. And with that, I would like to thank you.